Welcome to 1991 Movie Rewind, a podcast where we watch and review every movie released in 1991, from the all-time greatest classics to the critically panned and everything in between. We will rediscover forgotten fan favorites and uncover hidden gems as we explore the depths of direct-to-video. Join us in our celebration of the fun, unique, and diverse films of this highly underrated year. This week, we watched House Party 2. Thank you for joining us on 1991 Movie Rewind, Year 2. In House Party 2, Kid is heading off to college to get the education that his recently deceased father has always wanted for him. Unfortunately, Play has the tuition check that Kid accidentally left behind and gives the money to a record producer who turns out to be a scam artist. Kid is on the verge of being kicked out of school if he can't raise $10,000 in a single week. Perhaps there is some sort of event they can hold. Screenplay by Rusty Cundieff and Daryl G. Nickens, directed by George Jackson and Doug McHenry, and released on October 23rd, 1991. Now, I don't have to ask you if you've seen House Party 2 before, because we've seen the first three movies together before.
Yes.
Long time ago. It's been over a decade, I'm imagining at this point. But,
yes.
But we have. I don't know if you remembered much of the movie, though. So, I mean, how does it compare to your past experience if you remember it?
The first time I watched this movie, I was maybe high school or maybe 8th grade or something. But yeah, I did not. I got 2 and 3 confused. I remember the pajama party. That's it.
Yeah.
I remember him going to college, but I don't remember, like, the check and the scamming.
Yeah, I don't remember any of that either.
And then House Party 3, because then I remember there was, like, more people, like, more famous artists.
Yeah, 3 introduced additional
because I remember, like,
groups and,
like Another Bad Creation or something.
No, I forget.
Was it that?
I think it's, like, Immature.
Oh, okay. I remember it was, like, a younger group.
It was the group of the guy who was in Sister Sister.
Oh,
I think that was
Immature.
That
was in, what's that movie we watched?
I don't remember.
That dance movie.
Roll Bounce? Breaking 2.
No, not Breaking 2.
Oh, You Got Served is what
He was in that.
I think so, yes.
Okay, well,
yes.
I got 2 and 3 confused.
I did too. I think I largely blocked this one out of my memory because it's not very good.
Yes.
Sort of like how I try to pretend that Die Hard 2 doesn't exist. Of the original 3, Die Hard 2 is by far the weakest. Of the original 3 House Parties, 2 is by far the weakest. Like, 3 is good. It was
because I think
fun.
they're back at a house doing a house party.
Yeah. What really hurts this one is that they don't even mention a house party until an hour into the hour and a half long movie.
Yeah, I was like, are they going to get to the party at all in this entire movie?
There's just so much setup and Kid, trying to establish himself in this college and learn about life and I don't know, coming of age in a sense, that we miss a lot of the fun, quirky characters that made the original movie interesting.
Yeah.
So it's nice that they have some insightful moments, like when he's talking to the professor and whatnot, but you don't really get to see a whole lot of people that you haven't seen before, and the ones that we do get introduced to are largely very serious, like the professor, like Mr. Lee, the military chef, like Zora, who's Sydney's roommate, played by Queen Latifah.
Yeah.
They're not jokey, quirky, fun characters. They're there to, talk about the real world and, here's what it's like to be in this situation that you're in right now.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of sucks a lot of the life out of the movie.
Yeah, kid and it's mostly kid going to college.
Yeah, Play is working as a manager at a record store.
Yeah, and
hoping to get a record deal.
Kid's going to college because, his late father wanted him to go to college, and then the church that he belonged to, they all gathered this money for him to go to college to pay for his tuition, for all 4 years or just for that year?
I have no idea. I don't.
Because I think it was $19,000.
It is 10,000.
Oh, 10. I thought I saw. No.
Yeah, it was 10,000.
It was only 10.
But I mean, I don't even know if it was all from the church. I thought he was just sort of going there to go there and show that the community is supporting him since he's
Oh, I thought the community
whatever, but
gathered all their money together to give him money to go to college.
I don't know. I assumed it was
because
whatever
his father
was left
really
of
wanted it.
His father, and I don't know if he's. They don't show him in a house, so I don't know if he's still living at that house. Since he.
We didn't we see in the beginning that after his father died, is he living with Play?
I don't know, but possibly. I don't think they establish it very clearly.
They don't, but when he's getting ready to go to college and he's packing all of his stuff.
Right, it's all going into Play's car.
Yeah, but then he was like,
we don't know
I
what
had
house
good.
They're coming from.
Yeah, he's like, I had real good memories here, and I want to thank you for. He sort of thanked Play as if he was living with Play for a year or something.
Okay.
I don't know.
It could be.
But okay, so house party. What? So were they juniors when they had that, and then they're seniors?
I'm not sure what year they were for house party 1.
Okay.
They were in high school.
I was junior still. I'm thinking junior or senior year.
My guess would maybe be senior, just because, that one came out in 1990. This one came out in 1991, and so I don't know if they would have a 2-year
the beginning
gap
of senior year.
Probably something
or
like
end
that.
Of junior year and going into senior year.
Sure. I mean, it kind of doesn't matter too much, I guess, because I don't know. The way they handle time in general in this movie bothered me a lot.
Well, the way that I was like, is this college literally 20 minutes away? Because he's always going back and forth to where Play is at.
It's definitely very close. It has to be in the town.
Which is fine because, I mean, where we live, there's, in our city limits, there are major colleges that are within a half hour of us.
And we don't know how major of a college this is. It's enough to have...
I mean, it seems big enough because they got dorms and stuff.
But those are really... I mean, they're basically just houses they're renting out to people, right? Because, I don't know...
The name of his dorm was called Trump Hall. Did you notice that?
Yeah, but it was also just a house.
Yeah. But it said freshman dorm, which was one big house called Trump Hall.
But I think there was probably... we don't know how many other people were living there, but him and Cameron in that had a massive, massive room. And Zora and Sydney had massive rooms, basically a full-ass suite to themselves. So, I mean, they're basically just renting out portions of houses to students. It's not a straight-up dormitory with a tower, a large building. It's just individual houses that...
I don't know, it's not
So who knows how big the college actually is?
My college... I don't know. I don't know anything about college dorms. I just know from watching Felicity and stuff.
Okay.
I don't know.
See, when I was at school, I was in one of 3 towers that were there, right? And so they each had 15, 17 floors or whatever, and so multiple hallways within that, so cramped spaces, and you had a shared bathroom, which is a big benefit, and then basically motel type of a size thing where you have 2 or 3 floors and 20 something rooms on each floor. That's typical dorm.
Okay, yeah.
Think closer to what we saw on Necessary Roughness.
Yeah.
even though that was a brief scene, like that type of commonality. This was a straight up house. So
Yeah, it looked like they were just sharing one big giant room.
yeah, which was weird.
But when they when we're fast forwarding all the way to the near the end after the party, when they do that chase scene, that's in like a dorm building because there's
that's what it seems like. Yeah,
that's what it looked like because they were going through random rooms and people are like running out in their pajamas and whatever.
But I don't know what that was actually used for because this was on top of a dining hall that was supposed to be locked.
Yeah, I was so is this a dorm house and the dining hall is underneath and all the dorms are above it?
Yeah, but what were those rooms used otherwise for? I have no idea. Like
I thought it was like a hallway, like a dorm room hallway, because there was just long hallways and people running in and out of rooms.
Yeah, I don't know if it actually is a used dorm because you have the callback to the guy from the first movie.
First one, but he's like, having sex with a college girl because he's like, oh,
Probably,
this college.
We don't see the girl. Yeah. Oh yeah. That's
he
what
said.
Says.
He said like, oh, I like getting this college.
Yeah.
P word. I don't know. I don't know if we want to go like X-rated or R-rated. And then I was like, but I thought that guy in the first movie was married to the woman he was having sex with in the first movie.
There's nothing to say he still isn't.
Yeah, I know. But then I was like, I hope that girl is over 18.
It's not something you're supposed to think about too seriously. It's just a way to wedge in another callback to the first movie.
I thought about too many things that were too serious. I don't know. Like this movie...
I mean, it goes to some serious places at times. But not that heavy, right? So, I mean,
the whole, like, the races... I mean, you got, like, off the bat, you have his roommate, Jamal, played by Cameron.
Yeah, sorry, I call him by his rap name.
I mean, he's obviously... I mean, this is what you see in, like, 90s college movies, like, PCU or whatever. There's always, like, a white guy with dreads who wants to be black. It's like this cultural appropriation, like, off the bat.
Yeah, I mean, but that's played by a member of the rap group Young Black Teenagers.
Yes.
Yeah, so he's...
And I was like, this is cringe.
Yeah, I mean, but it's meant to be that way. Like, he's intent... part of the appeal and part of the comedic nature of his character is that he is trying to assimilate and
black culture,
appropriate. Yes.
Yeah, but it's just like Kid and Play are just they accept that.
Yeah, which is
but even and then you have like Queen Latifah's character. She's like the pro black power and hyper feminist like woman, and then even like this is another like cringy thing when like Tisha Campbell or Sydney meets her as her roommate, and Zora's like telling her about you don't need like any man, and he's not a real man, he's a boy, and blah blah, and then Sydney is like, oh, are you gay? And she's like, no. And it was just like, okay, so a strong black woman is automatically seen as being gay.
It's, welcome to early 90s.
I know.
That's sort of
I
the
started,
stuff that we
like,
run
all
into
this stuff,
sometimes.
I was like, like, the entire movie.
I mean, keep in mind, like, the first house party dropped the F slur
a
couple times as well. So you have a lot of that that's still more widely accepted in pop culture that hasn't, aged as well now. And there's some other racial moments in this as well. Like,
there's a
he's in
lot.
line talking to Jamal.
Well, not a lot. There was just, and then it's all like Looney Tunesy. With the noises, like when they come across, like when he's waiting in line to get his books for school, and the woman doing the checking out of the books, she's Asian, and then he makes like this.
Yeah, she makes some sort of comment
from.
about like back home, and he's like, "Oh, where are you from? Japan?" And,
right.
And she's like, "Well, no, where are you from? Africa?"
Right, but
so
then they play this music like Asian music, and then the African like drums.
Yes.
When they mention this, and I was like, "Oh my God, can we not?"
Yeah.
I was just like shaking my head.
Or when he realizes he doesn't have the check, he's like, in line, and he's talking to a person with an Indian accent, and
right.
pretends like he can't understand him, even though it's really easy to understand this person. And he tells Jamal to talk white. So I mean, like there's moments in there.
Yeah.
That are uncomfortable in that way. Yeah, the sound effects are definitely best described as Looney Tunes, and it happens pretty much right out the gate and does not let up. Does not add anything to it. It really kind of pulls you out of things. It's almost like if they were to add a laugh track, except worse.
Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking, I was like, did I like this when I was younger?
You might have liked some of the situations and like individual moments.
Yeah, I think I liked, like the three the full force guys, because I just like the Pee-wee guy. Like he always made me laugh, mainly because of his voice.
I'm surprised he didn't do more acting after this. He didn't really do a whole lot. None of them did.
I mean,
but Pee-wee especially had some good comedic delivery.
Mostly him. Like the other guys, they were both kind of. It's kind of like
they were there
Mo, Larry, Curly, and then Pee-wee is the funny one of the three.
Yeah, Pee-wee is the Curly.
Yeah.
He has the high voice. He has the catchphrase too. I'm gonna kick your fucking ass.
Yeah.
And
I thought
also like what's up with that? I think was.
Yeah.
Is that what he said?
I thought
maybe not exactly, but
that was hilarious when I was younger.
Yeah, and
even now I don't know what he says.
Because he has good delivery with that line. He's he knows how to do it, and that comes in like right away. Because at the very beginning of the movie, I know we're going all over the place here.
Yeah.
There's a dream sequence. So the movie starts with like in loving memory of Pops Robin Harris, who passed away shortly after the first movie released. So we don't get his presence at all, except for in archival footage. A couple repeated lines from the first movie that appears in like a picture frame or a dream sequence or whatever. And his presence is missed in this. But
yeah.
So Kid is having some sort of a nightmare type of a scenario where a lot of people in graduation robes are circling and dancing, and there's like smoke and black backgrounds, and like Whoopi Goldberg is there as an uncredited cameo as some sort of professor who's there to basically fail Kid.
Yeah, and then I was like, how come she didn't actually play a professor in his real life?
I don't know.
I was like, why is she the evil professor in his nightmares?
Like, was he actually imagining Whoopi Goldberg as like a known celebrity in that scenario, and that's why?
I thought when he first had that nightmare before he was going to start school, I thought she was going to be a future professor of his.
Yeah, but she's not. She only appears a couple times as like
professor in his nightmares.
A cackling, evil entity who's giving him an F.
F-. And I was like, here we go with F-. Is that where the beginning of F- started?
No, that probably started decades
earlier
in like cartoons.
I was like, our second F-.
But, yeah, and then, while that's happening, then the full force crew comes in, and, Pee-wee says, I'm gonna kick your fucking ass, and I think that's about when he wakes up at the start. But yeah, they're able to find a way to factor into the plot because Full Force goes to the record store to get a job. Play doesn't want to hire them because of their past history, and so instead their grandmother finds them a job on campus as security. So all three of them are now campus security, and they can go around and be part of the plot and story. so that allows them to be there, which is nice. And Bilal is also there. Martin Lawrence's character, he's just kind of there, sort of like as a hanger-on. He's almost he basically acts as like the moral compass for play.
I like Bilal.
Yeah, I
in
do
this
too.
movie.
And he was the moral compass in the first one too, to a degree. I mean,
Right.
obviously he was, woman hungry, but at the same time, he basically was trying to call play out on a lot of his bullshit.
Right.
And he's doing the same thing here. And he gets to DJ again near the end.
Yeah.
But time passes in such a weird way. It's really hard to understand the sequence of events. Like, one, the whole conceit of I have to give my check to this person in line to pay my tuition, even though I've already arrived and moved into the dorms. Is very weird to me.
Okay. I mean, you went to a college out of the city, not out of the state. I did not have like the college experience. I lived at home while I just drove to college. So I didn't live on campus.
I also didn't have to deliver any checks to anybody because I got like student loans. So
I remember but I thought you had to pick your classes before you even start. I was like, why are they picking their classes like the second they move in these dorms?
Exactly. That was also very confusing to me.
Because
they can
by
just,
the
pick
time
and choose whatever they want. Like, classes fill up.
Yeah, I was like,
some of them do.
these classes are going to be full, and then you won't have to take these classes because there's already like the allotted amount of students in them, and then you're stuck with like whatever 101. I don't even know.
Yeah, I don't fully remember how it worked, but I mean, obviously I was part of like a larger university, and I think we had to pick our classes ahead of time and pick more than what we could have, so that if something on our list, top priority was full, then we would get assigned something on
your second choice.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure we had to tier it like that, but it's been a long time since I've.
But I've seen this.
But it definitely wasn't the day of
right
moving in.
But I've seen this in other like teen college night. Like I'm thinking PCU again, but I haven't seen that movie in so long. But I'm thinking of like that where it just seems like that's even just watching like early 2000s like college teen movies. It's like even like American Pie and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, Van Wilder and whatnot.
Yeah.
Too.
It's all kind of like the same. It seems like they go there and they're like, oh, I need to start buying my books. And I'm like, I already had all this stuff ahead of time.
Yeah, I don't think I had the books ahead of time, but I definitely, once I knew what classes I was going to have, that was one of the first things I did when going there.
Oh, okay.
Was to buy the books from the local bookstore. But man, $123 for books.
That's how much one book is when I had to go to college.
And here's the other weird part about that whole sequence. So he tries to buy his books. The check he's using is bad. It bounces, and so the clerk there, the Japanese one that
the
has
Asian
the interaction.
woman.
Yes. She's like, okay, well, you have to go to the finance office to work this out. I'm like, is this not like a personal check? Like, where did he get that check? Right. Is the university issuing him checks to pay for his books that will only clear if he pays with the other check? Like, how does money work in this world?
But I thought he got that check from the church, and I thought that was the check to pay for all of his college. I was like, what is this separate check that he has that's not the check for his tuition?
I'll have to... I don't know. I'll have to see if I can find out when I'm taking screenshots for this. But...
like, he just had extra money for himself.
I know that the check that he was going to pay tuition with was addressed to him.
Yeah.
For $10,000. So
but
he never cashed that into the bank to write another check to the school. What he did was I guess he was just going to sign over the check to the school.
But he didn't even have it because Play
had it. Right, but if he did have it, I'm assuming he would have said, okay, now here's the check addressed to me. You can have it, and let's
unless you cash
notate the back.
There's no way you can cash a $10,000. Like if you give someone $10,000 in a check form, They're going to be like, you're going to have to, like, go cash this.
I don't know
How are you going to get, like... So it's $123 for his books. You're going to get $9,900...
Yeah, whatever check he was using in the
back.
bookstore was definitely different.
I know.
I just don't know where that check came from. Or, like, again, did the school give him a check and it didn't clear because his tuition didn't clear? Like, I don't understand how this works.
I don't know.
So, whatever. That's when he finds out that his money isn't there. That Play did not cash the check as expected because Play was somehow supposed to deposit his tuition with the school. How that was going to work, I don't know.
Like in the bank. He was like, oh, it's in the bank.
Yeah.
But, like, how can you do that on someone else's behalf?
I don't know.
Unless that person signs it over.
I don't know.
Oh, what? I mean, I know this is just... It's a movie.
Yeah, it's movie logic, but it does take us out of it.
And then, okay, so then you have Play's side of the story where Play is trying to get Kid and Play, like, a record deal. And Iman, who's her name is Sheila Landreau, but we find out she's, like, a scammer and she has, like, 3 other names. But she listens to their tape and she's like, yeah, I can give you a deal, but blah, 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 this and that. But she has, like, this other guy. Louie.
Plays Rick. Louie is another musical artist. Virtually all of the people in this movie have some sort of musical career.
Except for Iman.
Yeah.
I don't know. She was married.
She was married to David Bowie.
She was married to David Bowie.
I don't think she did anything. Released a single.
I don't really.
Like, even Tisha Campbell had a single. Yeah. So, like, they plan to have a session, and then basically the next part of the scam is that Iman comes in and says, oh, Rick left with the money, and he's like, whatever, I just need a little bit of money to get us to the recording session. You'll be paid back immediately,
right?
Whatever.
And he's like, all I have is this check.
Yeah. And
she takes it, but how can she take that money and cash it if it's not in her name?
Right.
Not signed or anything. So I was like, you can't even take that money.
No. Yeah, movie magic. And so, they try to...
And then, like, even so, couldn't you, like, just rewrite because that money has never been cashed.
Yeah, or ask Kid to call the bank and cancel.
Right. I know this is, like, real world.
This is where you learn about life, is in college. And some of the things you need to learn about life is how
as an 11-year-old,
money works.
I was like not paying attention to any of this. I was like, I don't know anything about checks yet.
Yeah, it's like, oh, this is
you're like, $10,000. Oh, that makes sense.
This represents $10,000. That's all you need to know. So they try to go to the actual record company to confront them, and that's when the people on the other side of the buzzer say, yeah, Sheila does not work for this company, we've never heard of you, we're not expecting you, go away.
Yeah, we don't even know who Sheila is. And then the cops all of a sudden appear.
Well, Full Force comes up as well because they've been also duped by them. And we get to see Full Force do a shitty rap in the record store earlier than that.
Which was it meant to be bad?
Because
it was bad.
It was meant to be really, really bad.
it was bad.
So that was a fun little spot. And then the cops come and they arrest the Full Force guys for some reason.
I was like...
let Play and Bilal go. Like, what did they do? Like, they got scammed too.
Right. That scene, I was confused. So the cops appeared. Like, who called them? Were they just driving by and they saw a bunch of black men? They were like, uh-oh.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's sort of how it happened in the first one.
Right.
It's more obvious that's why...
In the first movie, they're like... In the first movie, I mean, they do... The first movie is like... eons better than this.
Yeah.
Because they do talk about, like, the racism between, like, it's the white cops with, it's just like a black man just walking down the street and they get pulled over for just being black. I mean, they talk about that. They do a good job showing that. But this is sort of the same.
Yeah, but we have no idea why the cops are there to begin with.
And
but they're aware of Sheila, so it almost makes it sound like they're trying to catch Sheila and they're arresting these guys instead.
Yeah.
But they don't say why.
That's what confused me. I was like, why are those 3 guys arrested, but not? How come they didn't arrest all 5 of like Play and Bilal?
Yeah, it's
as
not like
well as them.
They weren't fighting. They weren't doing anything.
Yeah, they were just like confronting each other, like, "Hey, you scammed us," and you're like, "No, you've been scammed by this person." And then they're like, "Oh, we've been scammed," and then cops appear, and then these guys get arrested.
Yeah.
And then the cops are like, "Oh, we've been looking for that Sheila, aka so and so, for a while."
And these are the only 2 cops.
So they arrest them
in the city.
Right, in the city of what? L.A.
Yeah. Whatever part of LA they're in, I don't think they said, because they show up at the party at the end.
Right.
As well.
I was like, those are the only 2 cops in that entire city.
But there were only 2 cops in the first one too, so.
Right.
I think this movie misses. I think they're trying too much to bring some of the callbacks, but one thing that they missed was, again, like Robin Harris, but also John Witherspoon. They didn't have that type of character just riffing on the situation.
Mm.
You know how he was just calling out the window and just
making
heckling,
funny comments
exactly.
Towards all the kids coming up to the party.
They don't have anything like that here. The closest that I can think of it that is an unusual adult character is the dean. The kid has to go see after his bookstore check bounces, and he's not that wacky, but at one point he's basically saying this isn't a racial thing, it's a deadbeat thing, and he just he goes off and like deadbeat, like he's kind of like throwing a temper tantrum, and he's like, you have 1 week to pay.
Yeah, he was like the custodian in career opportunities.
in that what, like, you wanted to have more interactions with the dean but you didn't get it?
Kinda, but then just the same type of demeanor where he was just automatically mad because these are just all the teenagers working here are all deadbeats. So I just automatically just hate all these teenagers.
Yeah,
so
if
I'm
you're
gonna
in
be
my
mad
office, then yeah.
You're automatically just a deadbeat because all the people that come into my office are deadbeats.
But he comes around at the end.
Yeah.
He has this little moment of whatever.
Well, because he sees kid trying.
Yeah, and also he sees that Miles, who works his desk, be the bad guy.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's where we first meet Miles in that scene, and Miles pretends to be kid's friend, and is really just a two-faced individual.
Who he moves in on Sydney, like Kid and Sydney are having issues with their relationship.
Which again, how much time has passed?
They break up like
the next day. It seems like
I don't know.
It seems like it's like the next day. I don't know how much time is actually passing in this whole movie. It seems like a week.
But it kind of looked it was over a semester, because by the time that they have that party and needs money, he can't be in. Well, I don't know, because then
the dean gave him 1 week to get $10,000, or else he would no longer be a student.
So that was over a matter of a week then.
That's what I'm saying. And it just seems like that's
And then he
weird.
didn't have the money, because near the end of the movie, he's like moving out of that house, and Jamal's like, oh man. But then all of a sudden, he gets this money, and then he's like, I'm moving back in. Like, you didn't even go to like financial services or whatever.
I'm sure that was going to be his next stop. So, I mean, surprise, everything works out in the end. But, I mean, he had the money, and then he didn't have the money, and then he had the money from the party, then he didn't have the money, and then he has the money at the end. But, I mean, in the meantime, like, he's getting a job at the dining hall, and he's working for Mr. Lee, who's in this decked out military outfit, which is also like a chef's outfit. So he has like all kinds of medals and
like he
decorations.
was a former Vietnam vet or something.
But I think those are all things that he's given himself, because he gives out like pins and awards to his workers.
Oh, like world's
as well.
Dishwasher, because
squeezing all the oranges or whatever really well, and he's like, you earned your first
squeezer. Yeah.
You've earned your first pin.
Yeah.
And then he takes it away when he learns out he's no longer a student.
Yeah.
Mr. Lee, I think, is supposed to be the father type, well, one of two father type figures in this, but I didn't get that relationship as much as the movie wanted us to. They have such brief interactions with each other. But the way that they talk at the end, where he's like, "Mr. Lee, thank you very much for everything," and like, you know, makes it sound like this, you've given me like this massive amount of support.
Yeah.
None of that's really in the movie. It's all montages.
Yeah. Well, because so he has to write that paper.
Yeah, so that's the other father figure, is the professor.
Less than a week. Too.
Yeah, so he has to write that paper in less than a week. He has to work at the dining hall to possibly get $10,000 worth of wages in a week, which isn't going to happen, obviously. It's really just a way to set up the fact that he could steal the key for the dining hall, so that's where they could throw the party.
Their party.
That's the only reason that whole thing really exists, because he wasn't going to be doing
and
that.
then you have, okay, so then Play is like, I'm going to have, you know, this pajama party, and then him and Bilal come up with this whole thing, and then they're going to charge
and
what?
Jamal. The three of them kind of come up. But yeah.
Oh, Jamal, okay. And they're like, we're going to charge, what, $5?
$10 a head to guys. Women, if dressed appropriately, are free.
Yes. But I'm like, are you going to get $10,000?
That's exactly what I wrote
worth of all those people there, maybe.
Plus, like, okay, they totally skip how they got all this equipment, all these decorations.
Yeah, because
like
all
this
the
flashy light up stage that they had, like, was that part of the dining hall originally?
No,
probably not.
The stage was like raised up, and I'm like, how do they have all this equipment and money for all of this stuff? Why can't you use all that stuff, sell it, and then give Kid the money? And then you would have no
party. You also have to hire like Tony, and
yeah,
Ralph
it was like
Tresvant.
Tony. All of a sudden is there, singing their song,
original song for the movie, which is not very good.
I don't know. It's fine.
It's fine.
I like Tony. So
it's not a great song compared to other ones they've had.
There are other songs. Yeah,
but I don't know. Fine. Was the Ralph Tresvant song original, the Yo Baby Yo type of thing? I think it was.
I think for this soundtrack,
that was a better one. That was a better song.
Yeah, and then you know, you have Zora, who she's also, they find out that she's a rapper, Queen Latifah. So you have Zora who comes.
She doesn't rap on stage though.
But they see her rapping. They're like, "Whoa, a woman can rap," type of thing.
No, the scam artists see her at the rally.
There was a part where she was rapping. Was that at the rally? At the rally.
At the rally. And that's when
that's when kids saw her.
Yeah, kids saw her, but also Rick saw her.
Yes.
And gives him the card, and that's how like Iman and Rick show up at the parties, because they're trying to court and scam Zora.
Yes.
So they're there at the party.
Okay.
She never raps on stage.
No.
Jamal raps on stage.
Oh yeah. And so Kid, I mean, yeah, okay, so at that rally it was like a black. It was kind of like a Black History, like,
it was a protest to prevent them from cutting fundings to cultural studies, I think is what they called it.
It was to further the Black History studies.
Yeah, they're going to cut the budget of the,
like all the professors,
the cultural,
just the classes
and race studies.
Yeah,
and so they're there to protest that.
She raps, and then, Kid's there because he knows that Sydney would be there. Or Zora tells him.
Zora tells him that Sydney's going to be there.
Sydney's going to be there because, they still miss each other after breaking up for like 2 days. And then all of a sudden Sydney's like with Miles. Mm-hmm. But he's at the rally, he sees them. But then, Zora's rapping and he's like blown away that she raps.
It's the best musical part of the movie up to that point.
Yeah.
By far, because, another thing that's missing from this is the rap. Like, there even really weren't that many rap songs or hip-hop songs in the background.
Even their song, even their Ain't Gonna Hurt Nobody song.
That's not till the very end.
I know, but that's not really...
My point is, like, in the first one you have, like, a house party established and going.
Yeah, and they're like doing rap battles.
And so you have songs playing, you have like this fun atmosphere, and in this one you have sound effects.
And then no music really until this party.
Yeah, like you don't even... You have Boyz II Men, It's So Hard to Say Goodbye to Yesterday, played multiple times anytime Pops is mentioned, basically.
Right.
But other than that, you don't have any contemporary songs to act as background filler, to fill in montage sequences. So it's not until nearly 2/3 into the movie when you have Queen Latifah rapping that you can actually like have this type of stuff that you're probably expecting in a movie full of musicians.
Yes.
They just cram it all in the end instead of kind of spacing things out.
Right.
I mean, even in the original one, he had some original raps that acted sort of like a movie musical, where he's, like when he was in the prison and he was rapping, improv rapping about his situation. Right. None of that happens here either.
They only sing that Ain't Gonna Hurt Nobody. That was like their rap. They don't even do their own music, because I know in the first movie it's always them like, no, I want to rap. Oh, I know I want to rap. It's like they were fighting for the mic. Mm-hmm. And then they do this like battle. They don't do any of that. They just like, okay, we're up next on stage. Let's sing our song, but not really sing it. Because like Kid is looking out in the crowd at Miles.
At Miles and Sydney.
Sydney sort of dancing.
Because Miles like maybe is like giving Sydney alcohol.
Yeah, and
which may have something in it.
Yeah,
it's tough to know for sure. And then Kid has another hallucination
while he's on stage, supposedly
showing
singing.
Miles with the wolf mask.
Yeah.
As if he didn't know that he was like
saying, "This is my woman now," or whatever.
Basically, I mean, which is basically what Miles had said is like, "Look, I'm playing Sydney, like,
Right.
They know he's a bad guy, so
right.
It is such a weird sequence, but yeah, so Kid is completely out of it while rapping because he's focused on the whole Sydney situation.
He sees Miles taking Sydney up the stairs, and that's when he just gets off the stage and he's like, "No, get your hands off my woman." And then they get into a fight. But then while Play is still on stage supposedly rapping, he sees Rick and Sheila Landreau with Queen Latifah trying to sign her up. And then he's like, "Oh, those are the people that stole Kid's money." And then everyone kind of like stopped. Like the entire school knew who Kid was. It was like, let's get these people. And that's when they start the whole chase scene.
Yeah, and full force is there at this point because they had been looking for the party as security guards. This is an illegal gathering, and so they're going to go and try to bust it. And they finally get there, and about right when they do arrive at the right location, because they didn't know where it was. So they, had a couple sequences where they just go into random
like the library or something.
So once they get there, that's when Sheila and Rick are found, and so it basically starts this massive Scooby-Doo sequence where people are going into doors on one side of the hallway, they pop out of doors from the other side of the hallway, and
like on the
rooftop, they're coming from every which way, and during that time you have like Motown Philly playing at least.
Mm-hmm. I was like, how come they couldn't have was Boyz II Men like too famous at this point to have them play on stage?
Would they have been at this point? This is early.
I mean, it's the beginning of like their career.
Yeah, I was listening to these songs and I'm thinking, Boyz II Men have not showed up on our chart that we've mentioned on the podcast so far. They haven't been on the top five at this point. So
I know that they have their songs their album has been like, this is like the beginning of their career.
Yeah, I was wondering if this movie came out like right when that album was dropping. I don't know when that record came out. But yeah, I mean, who knows? There's so many people. You don't need more characters. What would they do? They throw so many different people in this thing. But yeah, big rooftop chase. That's when the guy, the callback to the fucking guy from the first one comes into play, and him with the gun.
Yeah.
And then everybody leaves except for Miles and Kid, who are on the roof. and then Kid tricks him into falling through the glass, and so Miles falls into a cake, and then Kid somehow almost falls onto the street but plays there to catch him, and everyone is caught. And
they made so Cooley High Harmony was released April 30th, 1991.
Oh, okay, so it's been like 6 months
Right
at this point.
They could have had them, and then that would have made Boyz II Men even like more like famous, even though just that album alone
I don't know
made them famous.
If they would have made the movie more party oriented, maybe that would have helped.
They could have sang like Motown Philly on the stage as this was happening.
Yeah, they could have. Who knows if they even reached out?
Right, they just got like Tony, which that's fine.
Yeah, and the one guy from New Edition.
Yeah, you're right.
So,
and then you have Jamal.
One fifth of young black teenagers. Did you know DJ Scribble was in that group too?
I looked into that and I was like, oh, interesting. Like, I didn't listen to any other songs.
Tap the Bottle, that was their big hit.
I don't know it.
You might know it if you hear it.
Right.
So that's Jamal's only acting role, by the way, which is kind of odd. Because he wasn't bad as
I don't know, it was fine.
Or Cameron's only acting role as Jamal. He did what he was supposed to do. I like that he got, when they were telling people around campus about the party, like Jamal kept getting slapped.
Right, that was
only
funny.
Him.
Right, like he was whispering and all the, well, it was him and Bilal, right?
Yeah, and play
sometimes.
Yeah,
and Bilal would be like whispering
in secret, so that Full Force guys wouldn't.
Right, they were sort of just whispering in these girls' ears, like, "Hey, wear your pajamas," and then these girls like look around and just slap it, but they're only slapping Cameron only.
Yeah,
because like Bilal will be like ducking or whatever,
and like Pee Wee's trying to dress up in like cheerleader's garb to try to
pretend
learn what's going on.
Yeah. To pretend get whispered in the ear with the details.
So yeah, it's interesting.
I mean, this is a movie for kids.
It's all over the place, but it's R-rated because of the language.
Oh yeah.
And same thing with the first one. I think it's something that's really interesting about both of these is that the only time you see anybody have alcohol at all is when like Sydney takes that drink from Miles.
Right.
And it's like this massive party. The only time you have like any sort of like sexuality is when you have that one the bigger guy who has the gun, and that's the only time you have like gunplay and shit like that too. It's if it weren't for the language, this would basically be a PG movie. Yeah, I think like not even PG-13. Like I think there's case to be had for just normal PG. You'd have to take out the jerk off motion from the record store worker at the beginning with like the squeaking noise
that they made every time he did it.
Yeah, God, yeah, the sound effects are so distracting. But it's weird. Like this movie doesn't know what it wants to be at times because of how playful it tries to be with the sound effects and the whatever in some of the situations.
Is it just like this is? It's like, parents, take your kids to these movies because we'll have like Looney Tunes effects.
I don't know, but it makes the messages that the movie tries to impart less meaningful, less effective. Like probably the most insightful part of the movie is when the professor is assigning the 20-page paper to Kid. Mm-hmm. The professor, what's his name?
Professor Sinclair.
Sinclair. And he's, Kid's like, life is, that's not fair. And he's like, life is not fair. And he goes on to explain, like, this is the college experience for you. Like, it's not fair that people can buy their way into college. It's not fair that you have to prove yourself. Yeah, that
scene was a good scene.
Everyone, like, all that stuff that he's saying and some of the other stuff that is said in the classes and, by Queen Latifah, it's meaningful, it's impactful, but it gets lost in the flood of, squeaky noises and boings and Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
That happens. So, it's unfortunate because it could have been better. It would have been a lot better if they could have found a way to get to the party sooner. I appreciated that they had some callbacks to some of the gags from the first one, but some of them did really seem wedged in. Like, play, there's something wrong with the toilet.
Yeah, the toilets. I'm like, there's one
like,
toilet in this
all over again.
It's like there's one toilet in this entire whatever building that they're in.
Yeah, I mean, clearly it's a dining hall, so it would have like a whole thing. They
Wouldn't
just
you
wanted
have
to mention
stalls?
They just wanted to mention the toilet.
Right.
And we don't see it. And then Groove and Chill make cameo appearances as well. So Chill is bumping into the table.
Into his record and DJ set, like skipping records because he keeps bumping into the table.
And then you have a very brief dance-off as well. But it's not nearly as interesting or epic like as the first one.
Right. It kind of looks like similar to the first movie. Like the dance moves looked very similar.
Yeah, and
so then Sydney
bumps,
taps into a girl
and is like, yeah, let's do this.
And then they just automatically know.
Yeah.
And then they also...
If it was like Shireen showing up, then sure,
right.
But she's not back for the second one.
No. I mean, I have stuff about
Or even if it was Zora, it would have been, like, hey, Zora, let's do this.
Zora was, like, too busy getting her record deal.
Exactly.
But, yeah, it was, like, a Shireen look-alike. It had, like, the same type of, like, hair and clothes.
Right. So,
It was, yeah, she just taps a random girl. She's like, let's do this. And they automatically just know, like, the same dance moves.
Mm-hmm. But, I mean, the dance-off wasn't nearly as interesting.
No.
And it was shorter.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because I think that's when, like, Miles comes in or whatever and ruins everything.
Yeah, maybe. I don't remember anymore. It's starting to become a blur, even though we just watched it a couple days ago.
Yeah.
I think, by the time another couple weeks passed, this may be back out of my memory the way it was the first time I watched it. Maybe not so much now that we're talking about it, but yeah. There's just... It's all over the place. But it resolves nicely. So yeah, like we said, okay. So Play gets the money from the party. He gets the $10,000 worth of money from the party. And he gives it to Mr. Lee to pay for the damages that they caused from the fight and, the whatever happened with Miles and whatever. And then, so he's going to be leaving school. He's like, I gotta go say goodbye to a couple people first. And so he says goodbye to Mr. Lee like that. And then he says goodbye to Professor Sinclair, who gives him the grade on the paper. And it's like, you deserve to be here. I'm sorry that this is happening to you. Like, people who are in the situation, they don't come back. Like, all this stuff with Professor Sinclair,
mm-hmm.
I wish that was a separate movie that they could have done and just, like, found, you know what I mean? Like, he didn't fit in this movie, but it was worth watching.
Mm-hmm. You can watch, like, Higher Learning or something.
Yeah, I don't remember Class Act, but, like,
Class Act
we have that
has
on VHS,
nothing
but,
to do... I mean,
know, but... Yeah, it's the Kid and Play school movie.
But that's like, they're still high school. This is like separate, I don't know. I saw Class Act at least twice in the theater. So I know that movie well for some reason. Because my friend and I really like that movie more than this.
Oh, yeah.
But that's like a high school movie.
So, but... I'll just say that the stuff with Professor Sinclair is probably the most interesting stuff in the movie. So he says goodbye to him, and then that's when Play comes to pick him up to move him out. And instead of his flashy car, the Foreplay, which is his like red Mustang. Convertible.
Yeah, it was a Mustang.
He is back to the car from the first movie, like the Beater. And he used the cash from selling his car to give to Kid so he can stay in school. So,
yes.
Lessons learned, all that kind of good stuff. And then they have, the frat dancers doing, like, stepping moves in the credits over what look like they're supposed to be bloopers, but they're really just
random
they're just snippets of scenes that we saw.
Yeah, it was like, remember this scene from 20 minutes ago?
Like, alternate takes. They're not flubbing lines. They're not doing... It just seemed like there's alternate takes of stuff we saw.
Yeah, it was...
Fake bloops.
The worst bloops I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Because they weren't even really bloops.
Weren't. No. Let's talk about the cast and crew a little bit. We got two directors right? So we got George Jackson and Doug McHenry. This is the only thing that George Jackson directed, but he's partnered with Doug McHenry to produce a lot of stuff. George has done Crush Groove, New Jack City. He was a producer on that. He also did House Party 3, Jason's Lyric, which Doug McHenry directed, Thin Line Between Love and Hate with Martin Lawrence, and also the Malcolm and Eddie TV series. Rusty Cundieff, as a writer, has a Razzie nomination for Worst Director, which is shared with a bunch of people for that movie 43, which I kind of like barely forgot, or barely remembered that existed. It's sort of like an anthology shitty comedy movie. So every director of movie 43 was nominated for Razzie there. He's an NAACP Image Award nominee for Whitewater. He's also written things like Fear of Black Hat, Tales from the Hood 1, 2, and 3, Black Jesus, that TV show on Adult Swim. He's done directing work for Chappelle's Show, Wanda Sykes, Human Giant, and also the new Creep Show reboot. Daryl G. Nickens, is Emmy nominated for You Must Remember This. He's also done 227, The Famous Jet Jackson, and Webster. So he's been writing for a lot of TV stuff. And Pearl from 227 is the one who played Mrs. Devers in this. Christopher Reid and Christopher Martin, in terms of acting, they basically just did the House Party movies and then Class Act, and that's virtually it. Chris Reid, who plays Kid, he was also in like Spec Ops: The Line, a video game. He was Spirit nominated for House Party 1. He was a Kids' Choice nominee for Favorite Actor in 1993, which was probably for Class Act.
Maybe.
Most likely. He's also done some work in Sister Sister, the TV show. And he also moved on to try to do a stand-up career. I don't know if you remember that, but
I think
transitioned
he's currently doing that because
he's probably still trying to, yeah.
Some of the podcasts I listen to now with comedians, they travel.
They bring him in
with him.
But yeah, Kid and Play stopped making music around 1995 together, but they still get together for special appearances on TV shows as themselves or whatever, like Celebrity Hip Hop Squares and stuff like that. But Christopher Martin, who was Play, he went on to be a Christian evangelist and motivational speaker after leaving the music business largely behind, I guess. Full Force we already talked about. Bow-Legged Lou, Paul Anthony, and B. Fine played Pee-wee, Stab, and Zilla. They also were in Who's the Man, but largely, again, it's just the House Party movies, and that's about it. They are much more prolific in terms of like writing and producing than I ever would have imagined going into this. They wrote and produced UTFO's Roxanne Roxanne, which spurred a whole lot of response songs like Roxanne Shante, and like that her whole career is because of UTFO's song. They've written for James Brown. They did the song I'm Real for James Brown. They did virtually all of Lisa and the Cult Jams stuff. They are behind All I Have to Give from the Backstreet Boys. So, and then their song Ain't My Type of Hype was featured heavily in the first movie as well, the Full Force song. We'll talk about Tisha Campbell, who plays Sydney. Spirit nominated for House Party as well. Image Award nominations for Martin. She has Image wins and nominations for My Wife and Kids. She was also nominated for Rita. Rocks. I didn't realize she was on Dr. Ken, and that Dr. Ken lasted for 44 episodes. That Ken Jeong show on NBC. Evidently that lasted for like 2 seasons. She was part of that. I never watched it. She was in Little Shop of Horrors as one of the doo-wop trio. Rags to Riches. She was in School Days. So she's been in a bunch of TV stuff throughout her life here. In 1991, you might have also seen her in TV spots on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Different World, Blossom. But she's most well known for probably being on the Martin TV show with Martin Lawrence, which she left around 1997 when she sued Martin Lawrence for sexual harassment. But she will be appearing in the Martin reunion show that will be happening soon on BET Plus. So, Martin Lawrence, by the way, who played Bilal, BET Comedy Award Icon Award winner in 2005. He got his start on the sitcom What's Happening Now in the 80s. He was in Do the Right Thing. In 1991, we'll see him in Talking Dirty After Dark. He's been in stuff like Boomerang, Bad Boys, Big Mama's House, Blue Streak, Life, Black Knight, Thin Love, Between Love and Hate. And for the Martin TV show, he won 2 Image awards and had 1 additional nomination. He had 3 Kids' Choice nominations for Martin and also Big Mama's House. Nominated for MTV Movie Awards Best Duo for Bad Boys 1 and 2, and also Best Comedic Performance for Big Mama's House. And then he has a Razzie Award nomination for Worst Actress for Big Mama's Like Father, Like Son sequel, which I think is like the 3rd movie in that trilogy. Iman, we're going to see a whole bunch, so I won't really talk about her. She's in 4 more 1991 movies. LA Story, Lies of the Twin, Linguini Incident, and Star Trek VI. She's in all of those. She was very busy. Queen Latifah as Zora. Oscar nomination, I think our only one on this list, for Chicago. Emmy winner for Bessie as a producer. Also nominated as an actress for that same program. Spirit nomination for Set It Off. Golden Globe winner for Life Support. Grammy winner, of course, for UNITY and 6 other nominations. Many NAACP Image nominations and 4 wins for Bringing Down the House. MTV nominations for Bringing Down the House. Stinkers nominations for Worst Couple. Jimmy Fallon in Taxi. If you remember that movie. Probably well known for Living Single, Living Out Loud. She's also in Ice Age 2 through 5, which I didn't realize. And she's also currently on the CBS series Equalizer. And we'll see her again in 1991's Jungle Fever. Professor Sinclair is most known for directing. George Stanford Brown played for Professor Sinclair. He has an Emmy directing win for Cagney and Lacey. He has 2 other nominations for Hill Street Blues. He's also directed things like The Rookies, which he also had a role in, Miami Vice, Magnum P.I., Dynasty, Fall Guys, Charlie's Angels. He's directed episodes in all those series. He also has a Razzie nomination for Worst Supporting Actress in the movie Stir Crazy. So evidently he donned some drag in that movie. And he also is well known for his short role in Roots. Tony Burton played Mr. Lee. He was in Rocky 1 through 6 as Apollo Creed's trainer Duke. He is a former boxer himself. Also well known for his role in Assault on Precinct 13. And we'll see him in 1991 Hook. Miles was played by Christopher Judge. He has a Saturn nomination for Stargate SG-1. You know, I've never seen this show, so I'm going to mispronounce this. So I apologize in advance. Teal'c, perhaps? It's Teal''C. So it's TLC or Teal'c. Don't know, never watched it, sorry. He's been on, 200 plus episodes of Stargate SG-1. That's how he's probably best known.
It looks like Teal'c.
Teal'c? Sure.
Teal'c.
Teal'c.
Neither of us has watched it.
But if
I'm
you
looking
have,
at
sorry.
the pronunciation, it looks like Teal'c.
Yeah, whatever. All I know is he's been in more like Stargate SG-1 episodes than even Dean Anderson. He's also done voiceover work as Magneto in X-Men Evolution, and also he has a BAFTA nomination for his work as Kratos in the new God of War video game. Whoopi Goldberg we'll talk about more when she's in Soap Dish in 1991. But lastly, I do want to talk about Groove and Chill. Another, probably not, obvious musical connection, but they did have a group called Groove Be Chill. So Gene Groove Allen and Daryl Mitchell. Daryl Mitchell is probably best known for his acting rather than his music work, though. He has been in things like Ed, Veronica's Closet, Galaxy Quest, The John Larroquette Show. More recently, he's been in Fear of the Walking Dead and NCIS New Orleans for 143 episodes. But in all of those, he has been in a wheelchair because in 2001 he had a motorcycle accident which paralyzed him from the waist down. So he's still acting, but especially like in Fear of the Walking Dead, I know that he has a wheelchair as part of his character. But yeah, those two, the guy who's bumping the table all the time, and Groove, who is the guy who got drunk in the first movie. In this one, he's appearing basically as just like a guy who's heckling women on the sidelines. They had a musical group together. I think that's all I have for cast and crew. The only award to mention, MTV Movie Awards, but not a real category. It's one of those going to commercial fake nominee categories. It was in the best hairdos category.
So it was just kid?
Yeah, just kids. High-rise, flat
hair.
top. Yep.
Yeah.
So that's it for the Pajama Jammy Jam. On to True Crime Pop Culture we go.
Okay, there's two historical events that happened on this day. Plus, October 23rd, 1991 was a Wednesday when this movie was released, which is, rare for a movie to come out this time.
Yeah, it's not a big blockbuster event.
Right, so two historical events. One I was going to get into today, but we can do it later. And then I might do the other one, but they're both, controversial. The first one is Clarence Thomas was sworn in as U.S. Supreme Court Justice on this day. The other historical event was that Dr. Jack Kevorkian's suicide machine assists two women to commit suicide.
Two major events that dominated.
Yes. I was going to delve into one of these, but we're going over. And then I just wanted to speak more about A.J. Johnson. And, because I was like, why wasn't she in this movie?
Yeah, who played Shireen in the first one?
Yeah, she plays Shireen, yes. And I found, there was two articles, one of them I found, and then there was a YouTube clip that I can probably give to you. And this was from last year. And then also I saw something recently, an Instagram, this was on Instagram, but also online, that Tisha Campbell and A.J. Johnson redid their dance at Alicia Keys' birthday party.
Okay. I miss Shireen's family, too. I wish they could have come back.
Right. Oh, yeah. I mean, her whole family... Okay,
her whole
so
family was good. Anyway.
Yeah, her whole family is great, and her grandma is me right now.
Literally, laying down.
Her grandma literally laying on a couch, staring like a zombie at a TV, not flinching or moving. That is me when I come home. So, in this article, I found this on BET.com. An article talking to A.J. Johnson, and she talks about her career because she was also in School Days, and she talks about in House Party their dance battle scene was just something that they did when they were just goofing off on set. It was just, she said that everyone in the film, they filmed House Party 1, the first one, for 4 weeks, and everyone got $4,000. And Tisha Campbell and her, they were friendly with each other, and then they would always sort of josh with Kid and Play, and they would all kind of tease each other playfully, and that's when they would do their dances against each other, and that's when the director, Reggie Hudlin, was like, we need to show this on the movie. So A.J. Johnson, she was the choreographer for that dance.
Okay.
She said that scene with Play at the end, this is all from the first movie, of course. So near the end of House Party, when, they get Kid out of jail, and then Play walks her back to her house, and he says, if you come with me, I'll take you to Burger King.
Yeah.
And they did a Burger King commercial together. I have that commercial.
Oh, nice.
And then
okay.
we can put it on. She said that commercial made. She
Made
said
more
this.
money.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
made more money from that commercial than from this movie. And
Did they air in like 1990 as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then she said she didn't want to. She was looking at so they asked the reason why she didn't want to come back for House Party 2 or 3. And then, we didn't see House Party 4, but like no one from the House Party movies are in House Party 4.
None of the original cast.
Yeah, no one original.
And probably some
in the
people from
fourth
3 or in 4, right? I think Immature might be back, but yeah.
Yeah, it's probably like based off of them.
Yeah.
But they asked why she wasn't in the 2 sequels, and she said she was looking at the content of the sequels, and she felt that the content didn't do the characters or the storylines any justice. She was offered the sequel, and she said that if Shireen took her part in the follow-up movies, she would have been a successful businesswoman owning a clothing store boutique or being a hip-hop fitness dance teacher after high school.
Okay.
So she wouldn't go, like how Play became
Yeah.
just a record store manager. She would have just been owning her own store or being a hip-hop fitness teacher.
I wonder how she would have factored into the plot overall.
Yeah. Because, you have Sydney and Kid going to college. It's like, how would they do this? If they still do the same plot, how would Sheree come into this? Just to, like, help. She would just want to help Play and Bilal out because they were all been friends since high school.
I don't know. Maybe we can find an original script somewhere. Does anyone have one?
Right.
Email it to us.
So, moving on, I'm just going to talk about TV because I think we talked enough musically.
Yeah.
Music
should be more full of music, but it's full of musicians, so we covered that ground.
I mean, the soundtrack was fine.
Mm-hmm.
You have the 3 major songs, like Tony's song, Ain't Gonna Hurt Nobody. I do see that this movie was number 1 in the box office of that week. And the soundtrack was released October 15th, 1991, and it peaked at 55 on the Billboard 100 and was number 23 on the R&B hip-hop charts, becoming the most successful of the House Party soundtracks, even though the first one is obviously the best one.
In terms of movie.
In terms of movies and music.
Okay.
So TV on ABC was Dinosaurs, The Wonder Years, Doogie Howser, and then we have 3 other TV shows on ABC that I've never heard of. One of them called Sibs.
Okay.
And then the next one called Anything But Love, which I believe that's the one with Richard Lewis and Jamie Lee Curtis.
Right.
So we spoke about that before.
Yeah.
And then after that was a show called Good and Evil. So Sibs is an American sitcom that it ran from September 91 until April 92. And it was a series chronicling the relationship of 3 sisters, hence Sibs.
And not the other show
It's not
called Sisters.
Sisters. I was like, there's too many. There's like another show, fathers and sons. It's always like fathers and sons, mothers, daughters, sisters, brothers.
Yeah, why not just
Sibs.
have a show like People?
Yeah.
Related people.
So, okay, it's a relationship of 3 sisters, and the support of the youngest 2 especially needed from their eldest married sister. It stars... The oldest sister is played by Marsha Mason, who she was... Once again, you have not seen these shows, but she's in Madam Secretary, The Good Wife. She was in The Middle, and then she is now, or was, on Grace and Frankie.
Okay.
I know you've not seen any of those. She is in the movie Drop Dead Fred, and I think she might be the mom in Drop Dead Fred.
Okay.
So we'll see her in 1991.
Okay.
The middle sister is played by an actress named Alex Rocco. She did a lot of voiceover work, but she is best known for her betrayal of Mo Green in The Godfather. Do you remember who that? I mean, I haven't seen The Godfather in a long time.
It's been a long time.
But she's often cast as a villain.
Okay.
The youngest sister is Jamie Gertz.
Okay.
So that, and then Dan Castellaneta. How do I say his name? I always forget. Castellaneta. He's also in it. But this only lasted one season, and it was 22 episodes. And they only aired 10, so the last 11 were not aired.
Sibs was not
Sibs.
was not short enough. They had to cut it short.
Mm-hmm. So the next other show we haven't spoken about is called Good and Evil. This is it's a sitcom that was on ABC from September 25th to October 30th, 1991. So just 1 month.
Wow.
It was they had 11 episodes and 5 were unaired. So Good and Evil was the saga of 2 sisters. We have more sisters.
Oh, okay. Are they good? Are they both
One's good and one is evil.
Oh, I thought they might both be good. Okay.
One is an heir to the family cosmetics empire, the other a world-class scientist, and the backstabbing jealousy, power struggles, and travails that occurred between them.
This is a sitcom?
Yes.
Okay.
So Terry Garr, she plays the evil sister.
All right.
Which, I mean, I would watch that.
Sure.
I would see her as that. And then Margaret Whitten is the good sister.
Huh. I think it was too vague of a concept.
There's too many like sibling shows. They were like, we've had it. And then another thing that happened on this day, there was a lot going on October 23rd. The World Series was on CBS, and it was the Atlanta Braves versus Minnesota Twins.
Yeah. Twins eventually won that one overall. I don't know what day, but yeah. So let's move on to rankings and ratings. Where on your 1 to 5 star scale would you put House Party 2?
I'm going to give this a 2 for House Party 2.
Ah, okay. You know, when we watched them the first time, I had reviewed them for the website I was writing for. And I gave it a 0.
Wow.
At that time. I'm going to be a little bit more generous, and on my 0 to 4 star scale, I'm going to say it's a half.
Wow. I was debating between 1 and 2, but I mean, I still
It
like.
does not deserve to be my first 0 ranking on this podcast, but it was not good.
No, it's not good, but I just liked some of the situation, even though there is bad situations, like them making callbacks, like their friendship and whatever. I like Bilal. I liked I liked Pee-wee. I like Sydney. I like Queen Latifah in this.
Yeah.
I like all the father figures for Kid.
Yeah, there's enough here to earn it a half star. It just the structure and the sound effects and all the other stuff is
that's really bad.
Can't get it higher than that.
I would give House Party 1 like a 4.
Yeah, I think that's a 3 star for me. Yeah, 3 out of 4 for me. And if I remember right, I think third one was like 2.5. So like the third one is a significant improvement.
A little bit better,
the second one. Every movie is worth watching once. Would you watch this again?
No.
Not unless it's a situation where I'm watching the full trilogy.
Unless they do a 35, 40-year reunion, and it's like you have to dress up in your pajamas at some movie theater and you watch all 3 or something.
Right. Yeah, like an overnight pajama jammy jam.
Yeah, and they better have Tony at this thing.
Or maybe Boyz II Men will finally show up.
Yes.
If you out there want to watch House Party 2 as of this recording in February 2022, it's available on HBO, digital rental, VHS, or DVD. As always, check your local listings. As for us, you can find us on all your major podcasting platforms. Please remember to rate, review, subscribe, and tell your friends. It does help us out a lot. You can email us at 1991movierewind@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Letterboxd. Just search 1991 Movie Rewind or go to 1991movierewind.com for the full list of movies along with show notes and more. Next week, since we're in year 2, we're looking at another sequel. We're looking at Kickboxer 2, The Road Back. That's on Tubi, Vudu, Plex, Roku Channel, Digital Rental, VHS, DVD. We will see you then.
Thanks.